Hello everyone, today we'll be looking at the useState hook in ReactJS. So to get started, create a ReactJS project in REPL, which is what I've done here. And I've created a counter.jsx project in the source folder right here. So to get started, we need to import React, specifically the useState hook from React. And then we need to create function, counter, return, and then I'll wrap all the HTML content in a div element, and then in a div tag. And then we need to export default count. And then the app.jsx, we need to import counter from counter.jsx. And then there's one of two things we can do here. We can either do this to get the content from counter.jsx, or to make the code shorter, we could just do that. And to see if this is working or not, we could just make an h1 tag that says counter, like so. Okay. So what is this useState? useState just checks the state of anything, like a boolean or a variable. So in the autocomplete over here, we see count and set count. So in the square brackets, count is just a variable name. So this is any variable name right here. And then set count, this is the second parameter here, is a setter. It's best practice to usually just say the name being set and then the variable name count. And that is equal to the useState of 0. So the initial state of this variable will be 0. And then so for a counter, we need to increment, decrement, and reset. So to implement the incrementing the function, we would do the following. So we have constant increment, and then arrow function, set count, count plus 1. So remember, this is the setter, so we're setting the count variable to plus 1. We're adding 1 each time. Now to actually use this function, we need to do the following. So we'll create a button that says increment. And then on click, this is a JavaScript event. On click of this button, we will do some JavaScript in here. To put some JavaScript code, we need to add the curly braces like so. So on click of the button, we want to increment. We're just calling this function. So this is incrementing counter right now, but we can't see the value of counter. So what we'll do is we'll create like an h2 tag that says count counter value, and then we're inserting some JavaScript again, and we'll just copy the count variable over. So since we cooked it before, it was initially 5, but as you can see, if we reload it, the initial value is 0, which is what we set over here. This is the initial values. So next, what we'll do is, using the same logic, we want a decrement. So we'll decrement, and we'll subtract 1. And then we'll create another button, and that says decrement. So on click, you want to decrement. Let's just say subtract and add. Okay. So on click, we're going to subtract and add. So these are the 2 button functions so far. And using that same exact logic, we can create another constant and then say reset. And reset is just going to be 0. So we're going to set count equal to 0. We're going to set it equal to 0. So we can create another button. We'll say reset on click is equal to reset. And it will reset. Okay, that's the basic counter right here. And this is basically complete. But it doesn't look too good. So what we'll do here is, I want to center all this text and add a background and all that good stuff. But we can't just say class is equal to, styling stuff. We can't just say that, because class is a special function or property in React. So that's why we have to say class name is equal to styling stuff. So to style this, we have to go in app.js, CSS, and then we have to say styling stuff to access it. Now I want to set the background. Background color is going to be green. And I don't really like that green either, so I'll just modify that green slightly. Okay. We're gonna set the color is equal to white. I don't like that green still. Okay. And then we said we wanted the text align to be center. And there we go. Now, this doesn't look too good either. So we'll do a border radius of 10 px. We'll add a border of, this is the autocomplete. We can just hit tab and it will autocomplete for us. Well, we can make the border white. Let's go away. Now we can't really see it yet, so to make the background color of the page over here, we can do body. We can do background dash color. And we're gonna make it some kind of green as well. Okay, we'll make it, looks like a vomit green. Make it slightly darker, I guess. That's about the same color. Let's see how that looks. Alright, let's just make it dark. Alright, good enough. So now we want to add some padding so we can space the buttons out. Padding dash bottom 30 px. Let's see. And that looks pretty good. Now we could just call it a day over here, but I want to space the buttons out over here as well. So what I'll do is I'll add another class name to each button so that we can space the buttons out and add a margin in between each. So we'll say operation btn. And since I want it for every single button, I'm going to add the class name for every single button, like so. Okay. Dot option operation button. And now we're going to do a margin of 10 px. I had that spaced down nice. Let's do 20 px. Okay. Now, time to make the buttons look nice. So we're going to do border radius of that. And add a border of that. Kind of want to change, actually no. Let's do background color of that. Let's make it something dark, maybe. I'll just make the color white smoke. Let's see how that looks. And we'll do a width of 100px and a height of 50. Let's see how that looks. 50. I spelled that wrong. Height about 50px. I want the border radius to be a little more. Make that 20. Let's make that 30. Let's make it 40. Alright, I think that looks just fine. Let's make this a tad bit lighter. Alright, I think that looks really good. And then we'll do subtract, reset. Let's see if we can add a box shadow. Box shadow over here. Ooh, that looks really good. Yeah, let's add. I think that looks really good. Let's say 10. Let's see what these values do. Oh, this one shifts it to the left or right. So let's say 20. I think it's good. All right. I think 10 looks good. 0. Yeah, I'll just keep it to the default 0. All right, I think that's good enough for the counter. The last thing I want to add is the font family. And I do not want it to be Roboto. I want it to be Inter. And that's it. Let's see how our app looks. And so we just click new tab and this will open up in a new tab. And we'll do subtract, reset, add, reset, add, subtract. Yeah, these buttons are working just fine. So as a recap of what we learned, we used the useState hook to check the state of count. And we set the initial value to 0. And then we created these functions here to add, subtract, or set the value of count is equal to 0. And then we retrieved that counter value by passing in this variable that was being changed by calling each of these functions. To execute the actual functions, we created a button with an on-click event, and we assigned increment, decrement, reset to its own name. So add goes to increment, subtract goes to decrement, and reset goes to reset. So, and then after that, to use the actual useState hook, we imported it, because if we don't import it, we won't be able to use it. All right. I think that's it for this video, and thank you so much for watching it, and please make sure to ring the bell notifications for future updates of future videos. Smash the subscribe button and hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.